Hey everybody, welcome back to Writing Tips for Authors. I am author MD New, and today I want to kind of continue our conversation that we started a couple videos back about characters and races and creating characters that are different than either humans or us. But I specifically want to talk about today the difference in writing characters that don't reflect you personally. For example, if you haven't noticed, I am white and I am a guy. Um, so if I'm writing a character that is different from me, a character of color, a character that is not my sex, then I have to pay specific attention to how I write them and how I present them. So when we're talking about creating characters that are of different race than you, there are about 5 or 6 things that are really important that you need to remember. And the first thing is to think about diversity. When we as writers write stories, we have a responsibility to reflect our world. Therefore, we have a responsibility to make our stories as diverse as possible. So, when you're writing something, if you want to have a world that is real to people, you need to be inclusive. So you can't necessarily just have all white characters, right? I mean, you can, depending on the story, but really think about it. See what we're seeing happening in media and how important representation is. It is so important, but at the same time, it's important to do it correctly. You don't want to fall into stereotypes. I am a gay man. I am not the perfect gym body, stereotypical gay man who is just, what's been shown in media as this, the beautiful Adonis or whatever. And, I don't have a perfect body. I have a little bit of a lisp. If you haven't noticed, I do. And, so I'm not I'm not what you see a lot of on TV or in media, right? You might see it in the background. But why it's important to see characters and people like me in your writing is because this is real, right? I'm a real person. I am somebody who you will see on the streets or wherever. Not everybody is going to be this perfect ideal. So when we do characters that aren't like us, talk to people who you're going to be writing about. For example, in one of my stories, Valaria, I have an African American character. He is a main character. However, I had to talk to my African American friends and say, okay, I need you guys to tell me that I'm either right or wrong in how I'm presenting this character because I care and I want to make sure that I'm showing him as accurately as possible because I am not an African American. I can't speak to that type of person. But what I can do is I can talk to people and I can respect their opinions and really develop the character. I also had to do this in one of my other stories, The Called. I have a Native American character who is very important to the story. I have I took the time to reach out to the Native American community who this character, the Native American character is from, the nation that he represents. And I asked them, I said, okay, I want to do this character. I want to do it right. Can you tell me some hits or misses, some things that I need to pay attention to? They were more than happy to help. So was one of my friends who's also Native American. He read the character. He gave me feedback on the character. He and I talked multiple times about the character to make sure that the character was as authentic and as real as possible. And all it took was me asking, me reaching out, and they were thrilled to help. So keep that in mind when you're trying to do these other characters. I already mentioned don't do stereotypes. Stereotypes just, whether or not they're accurate, try to avoid them. Um, I got hammered for one of my characters in my sci-fi series, Dan. Because he is very stereotypical gay man, and the editor and I just went back and forth, back and forth. Finally, the managing director had to step in and say, "Okay, look, what's going on here?" And I said, "This character is based on these people. I can have you talk to them. They are the reason why I created this character." And so after we had this conversation and I made some changes to Dan and made him less stereotypical, obviously the character was approved and so were the books. But again, because even though I'm a gay man writing about a gay man, the stereotypes still caught me, right? Caught me off guard, and I got into, had to basically defend my character. So again, keep these types of things in mind. The other thing is find readers who are of that race and ask them to read the story. A lot of publishers will refer to them as sensitivity readers, and they're a godsend, especially when you're doing characters that aren't within your wheelhouse. I had a trans character that I really wanted to, again, get right. So I asked for trans sensitivity readers. And I got a couple, and they read the character, and they said, I can't speak for everybody in the trans community, but I can tell you from my experience, this feels right. So I got a couple of those, and I felt really good about the character. And luckily, I haven't had any issues, and people have been really appreciative of the fact that I took the time to reach out to these individuals and these groups and get their feedback about characters. And this is the same thing for sexuality, right? Nobody wants to be fetishized. Nobody wants to be shown in some outlandish way. And so when you're writing either gay characters or even straight characters, right? LGBTQ characters, take a minute, reach out to the community, reach out to people who you may know, and just have them read it. You don't have to have them read the whole story. Have them read the bio sheet about the character. Have them read the information about the character. And just say, does this feel true? Does this character read right? Again, make sure that you're being respectful and showing these characters in an open and honest way, reflecting our society, reflecting who we are as a people. And really, it makes the characters and your story and your book that much better, especially if you can point out to people who may come back at you and say, well, you did this wrong, and say, thank you very much for your feedback. I appreciate and I value what you have to say. However, please be advised that I talked to these people and they were okay with what I did. I'm sorry if this offended you in any way, shape, or form. That was not my intention. And just it gives you that ability to say, I did my homework. I'm showing them in the best possible way I can. And, as long as you're doing that, then everybody should be happy. And that's why when you're doing characters who are different from you, a different race from you specifically, to just take that added time, make that effort, really just show the reader that you paid attention. Because there's nothing worse than having bad representation in a story. You don't want to be that author. You don't want to be that writer who is known for creating these characters that are so outlandishly unbelievable that they're offensive to everybody. So, So keep that in mind as you're writing these characters. Again, have fun with them. Create the characters you want to create. Build the world you want to build. Write the story you want to write. And tell that story. But at the same time, just do some homework and make sure that when you're trying to get that diversity and trying to get the world out there, that you've done your homework and that you know what people of these different minorities and groups have to say, that you paid attention to them. Alrighty. Well, that's my tricks and tips about writing characters who are different from you. So I do hope that it helps. I know that it can be a daunting task, but really just take a few minutes, go out there and talk to people and just get their opinion on the characters that you're creating. Because again, like I said, you don't want to be that author that's out there writing these horrible stereotypical characters, and you're just going to get hammered for it, and you don't want that. I don't want that for you, and you don't want that for yourself. Okay, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. Comments, I love to get your comments and feedbacks in the section below, so please feel free to leave me comments. You can always like and subscribe to this channel because I try and keep getting these tips and tricks out there to really help the writing community. That's what we're all here for. So in the meantime, if you have questions, reach out to me. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all again real soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.